G'day, mate. 40 here. My God, either is it Chrome, is it just the New York Post? Everything just running really frickin' slow. I'm trying to run a high-quality show here, guys. Okay, so we are live, we are streaming. So, here I stand. I can do no other, right? Speaking to you here. Hey, lady. You, lady, cursing at your life. You're a discontented mother and a regimented wife. I have no doubt you dream about the things you'll never do, but I wish someone had to talk to me like I want to talk to you. All right, this is going to be a show from the heart. What can I say? I've been to Georgia and California and anywhere I could run. I took the hand of a preacher man and we made love in the sun. I'm not ashamed. But I ran out of places and friendly faces because I had to be free. I've been to paradise, but I've never been to me. Please, lady, please, don't just walk away, because I have this need to tell you why I'm all alone today. I can see so much of me still living in your eyes. Won't you share a part of a weary heart that has lived a million lives? Oh, I've been to Nice and the Isle of Greece. When I sipped champagne on a yacht, I moved like Harlow in Monte Carlo, and I showed them what I've got. I've been undressed by kings. I'm not ashamed. And I've seen some things that a woman ain't supposed to see. I've been to paradise, but I've never been to me. Hey? You know what paradise is? It's a lie. A fantasy we created about people and places as we like them to be. But you know what truth is? It's that little baby you're holding, and it's that man you fought with this morning on X, the same one you're going to make love to tonight. That's truth. That's love. Sometimes I've been to crying for unborn children that might have made me complete. But I took the sweet life. I never knew I'd be bitter from the sweet. I spent my life exploring the subtle whoring that cost too much to be free. Hey, lady, I've been to paradise, but I've never been to me. So I just wanted to check in, and I wanted to make sure, are you getting all the level of personal fulfillment that you need these days, right? Are you feeling fulfilled? Are you feeling adequately fulfilled in your work? Because I'm learning we're supposed to be fulfilled in our work. That's important, guys. So does your work fulfill you? And if your work doesn't fulfill you, perhaps fulfillment that you need. Perhaps you need another job. Perhaps there needs to be some adjustment going on. All right? It's important that you feel fulfilled. Right? Is work living up to everything that you need from work? And marriage. Is your marriage living up to everything that you need from your marriage? Are you getting all the love that you need? Are you getting all the sex that you need? Are you getting all the understanding and empathy that you need? It's important that you be fulfilled, right? I hear that marriage can be very fulfilling. And so I just wanted to check in and make sure that you're getting all the fulfillment that you need from your marriage, from your religion, from your work. Are your best friends, are they fulfilling you? Are they giving you all the personal fulfillment that you need? Like, is your car fulfilling you? Is your internet service provider fulfilling you? Is your iPhone, right? Is your iPhone fulfilling you? Is it giving you everything you need from your iPhone? Right? Is your breakfast cereal fulfilling you? Are you getting everything that you need from your breakfast cereal? Are the TV shows that you're watching, are they exciting enough? Right? Are you getting everything that you need from the telly? What about American politics? Is Donald Trump fulfilling your needs? Because if Donald Trump is not fulfilling your needs, I want to hear about it. It's just so important that you feel fulfilled, right? If you're not getting filled up at work and in marriage and in your relationships and in your synagogue and on your TV set and with your internet service provider and your cell phone and your hobbies, are your hobbies everything that you need them to be? Is your yoga studio everything that you need it to be? right? Are you feeling filled up by the amazing job that Donald Trump is doing as president, right? We're here together to help you to achieve personal fulfillment, right? That's a really big topic these days, particularly in America, right? And I've learned that we're supposed to be feeling fulfillment at work, which is just completely ludicrous idea, right? This notion that you can feel fulfilled at work. All right, maybe 1% of people can feel fulfilled at work. This is such a post-enlightenment liberal delusion that we should just, number one purpose in life is follow our bliss. All right, everything I was just asking you is pretty much irrelevant from a trad perspective, right? From a hardworking, right-wing, nationalist trad perspective, right? Personal fulfillment is not the number one goal in life, right? The number one goal in life is to fit yourself to an order outside of yourself, to do your duty, right? If you play your role on the team, and your team should be your tribe, your nation, your community, your extended family, right? If you are playing your role on the team, then that should fill you up right there, right? We tend to put way too much weight on fulfillment, our own personal bliss, our own personal fulfillment. Work should fill us up. Marriage should fill us up. Friends should fill us up. Religion should fill us up, right? You look to any one of these things to fulfill you, and you're going to become disillusioned, right? Think about all the people who became disillusioned during the first few months of Trump's initial term. Oh, man, they were so disillusioned because they looked to Donald Trump and to MAGA and to politics to make them feel fulfilled, and then that didn't work out, so they became incredibly disillusioned, and they missed out on the tremendous amount of joy that is available right now just following the news. Right, if you're not counting on Donald Trump to fulfill you, if you're not counting on politics to fulfill you, if you're not counting on the news to meet your needs, then if you're not demanding and expecting anything from the news and from politics or from your personal political hero, then you can just enjoy what comes down the pike, right? I am just having so much fun with this Trump administration because I'm not depending on Donald Trump to fulfill me. I don't depend on work to fulfill me. I don't depend on super chats to fulfill me. Yes, you can super chat me right now. You can show your support for the Luke Ford Show. You can join the channel. There are 3 levels, all right, on the channel. For the $25 level, we'll connect on social media. How exciting is that, guys? For just $25 a month, we will connect on social media. What a bargain, man. What a bargain. I think that's level 3 of the membership on this channel. But I don't depend on your super chats and the applause and the ratings to fill me up. I don't depend on work. I don't depend on the Alexander technique. Rather, I try to fit myself to my duty. I try to fit myself to my obligations. I try to be a part of my team. And if I'm coming off the bench, if I'm washing the jock straps, if I'm bringing the stars water, all right, that's good enough for me as long as I'm a part of the team and I'm contributing to the team. I feel good, right? I don't follow my bliss. Now, if you try to fit yourself to your obligations, if you try to do your duty and you make that your number one priority in life, let me do my duty, let me step up to what is expected of me, let me meet my obligations to my family, my extended family, my friends, my community, and my nation. Right? Let me meet the obligations that I should take on as an adult. All right, and then you tweak that to make it more meaningful or more blissful or more fun or more fulfilling. Yeah, tweak that. All right. After number 1, you meet your obligations. You do the mitzvahs. You follow God's commandments, or you follow the commandments of reality. You step up to the transcendent moral code or to the demands of reality that exist outside of you. You fit yourself to the situations you enter into, and then you try to tweak things a little bit so you get more joy, more bliss, more fulfillment. I think that's great. But seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, or seek ye first reality, seek ye first God, seek ye first adult responsibility, seek ye first your responsibilities as a man, seek ye first taking care of your family and your extended family, your friends, and your community, right? Put first things first, and then tweak them to get a little bit more fulfillment. All right, work hard and find ways to make your work more enjoyable, more fulfilling, more blissful. Yeah. So when you put first things first, when you put the kingdom of heaven, you put reality, you put your obligations. All right, you put that which is above and beyond you, to which you want to fit yourself. You put that first, and then you tweak things, right, to find more fulfillment, more bliss, more joy. Then that's awesome, right? If you expect people to act dramatically against their self-interest, you'll be disappointed. But if you feel you are part of a winning team, if you feel that you are aligned with reality, if you feel like you are contributing to your team, then I think you should be pretty doggone happy right there. And speaking of happy, how about Ashley St. Clair? Right? I'm starting to think that she's not quite as trad as she portrays herself on social media. She does an excellent job selecting her photos and her public presentation. I always thought she was a beautiful, beautiful woman. But then there are all these very nasty personal comments that she was a slut, and I always ignored that. But now I'm starting to think that she's perhaps not quite as trad as she has presented herself. So she just had her second child out of wedlock. She claims to have had Elon Musk's 13th child. And she has revealed her life of secrecy after a whirlwind romance with the down-to-earth billionaire. So the conservative influencer has spoken publicly on Shabbos about her alleged relationship with Elon Musk, which she claims began in her DMs. So she says the 53-year-old Tesla and SpaceX mogul is funny and down-to-earth, but that he wanted to keep their baby a secret for everyone's safety. Ashley asked to keep her son's name a secret, but revealed that he is happy and healthy. She says she is 26. Wait, she was in college in 20... Is that right? She broke the internet on Friday when she posted on X that she gave birth to Elon Musk, a baby 5 months ago. Revelations she said she was forced to make due to prying reporters. Okay, Musk was very funny. He was smart. He was down to earth. It started with X interactions. He slid into my DMs. I think it was a meme. She didn't particularly have much interest in Elon Musk. She became aware of the billionaire thanks to a gay best friend. And then SpaceX CEO Seth Dillon, not the comic, called St. Clair, asked her to fly to San Francisco in the next 48 hours. She complied. She met with Musk for the first time at Twitter's headquarters. She was 24 and incredibly vulnerable, and Musk was 51. After the interview, I got a text from him, feel like going to Providence, Rhode Island tonight. The romance blossomed from there until she became pregnant. She was restricted from telling people that she was carrying his child. Musk provided her with a lavish apartment in the financial district and a hefty security detail, but no romance. So I don't think she was fulfilled. She was forced to spend her pregnancy alone. I was completely isolated. And her Instagram went dark for months. Okay, so what's going on here? I think we're about to find out that Ashley St. Clair is crazier than Amber Heard. So Elon Musk responded to her allegation by saying, whoa. And Ashley responds, we've been trying to communicate for the past several days. You have not responded. When are you going to reply to us? Instead of publicly responding to smears from an individual just posted photos of me in my underwear at 15 years of age. So that's Milo Yiannopoulos. So here we get the Ashley St. Clair drama. So she plotted for half a decade to ensnare Elon Musk. So back in 2020, he has 7 kids, goes through women pretty fast, says Ashley. Interesting that Elon is responding to this clearly ingest screenshot that was discussed with his team months ago in a documented call. I would like to take this offline for our child's sake and have been attempted to do so for weeks. Security team on Elon's own platform locked the account he is now responding to for a week for posting a non-consensual underwear photo of me, I think at 15. Let me be the first to congratulate Ashley St. Clair on her joyous baby news. This is exactly what a child needs in their life. Elon seems like a real father of the year. This baby is going to be so loved. managed to make herself famous enough to have a kid with the world's richest man. A triumph of the human spirit. Ashley St. Clair deleted these tweets as soon as she posted them. New York Post reported that Ashley St. Clair is 31 and then 26. So is she 31 or is she 26? How old is she? Elon, we need to start having more babies in the United States. Ashley, I volunteer. For all those people telling me that Ashley isn't a conservative, just because she has 2 kids out of wedlock with 2 different men, doesn't mean that she's not a conservative, right? She's tried. Aha, man prophesied Elon and Ashley. Elon says, this is the absolute best time in history to have kids. And then back in November 27, 2023, these 2 are definitely having a kid together in the near future. True. Ashley St. Clair, adultery, single motherhood. I don't know about these other allegations, so... Okay, so just because she's a sexy woman doesn't mean that she's not tried. All right, Smashly, got the nickname Smashly in college. All right, these allegations are not peer-reviewed, they're not substantiated. Elon Musk, Ashley St. Clair, classic example of no matter how ugly you are, chicks will do you if you have the money. You don't think that Ashley St. Clair is trad? Ashley has had a one-sided personal vendetta about my show for years. She's made many public statements, leaked private information about me.
Away, you still have this massive group of young men who are clinging to that message on shows like the Whatever podcast. They're bringing them on for this humiliation porn. Why is all of this content allowed on YouTube? YouTube, who has been, at the forefront of we need to protect those who are, a protected class. And women typically fall into that class. So why all of a sudden is all of this content allowed on YouTube that is terribly misogynistic, that's terribly degrading to women? When I don't think that would have been allowed, years ago. I just don't. I think that would have been removed from the platform swiftly. Society hasn't changed that it's really fun to watch a witch be burned at the stake, right? Mm-hmm. It's really fun to watch this humiliation of women on shows like the Whatever podcast.
Jesus Christ wants you to do OnlyFans work? Just so that we're clear?
Yes.
If God wanted you to do OnlyFans, then what would Satan want you to do?
To stop doing OnlyFans.
Yeah, why do you think he'd want you to stop?
Because I love making sexual content.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you think that God, his preference would be that you continue to make sexual content on your OnlyFans?
Yes. He wants me to do it.
You have these women who they know, they're just OnlyFans models. They're not exactly the brightest bulbs in the bunch. They're not bringing them on for intellectual conversation. They're bringing them on for this humiliation porn. And I think that's become really attractive and rewarded in algorithms. This sort of nastiness, this division of the sexes is rewarded a lot more than talking about what you or I or so many people might find more important. For example, what's something you might find more important than the gender divide? You could name a plethora of things. The issue in this country and the world and the West is not the division of the sexes. We're not going to look back and define this era by the division of the sexes or by the female era. We're never going to call it that.
Okay, will the prospect of Super Chat revenue influence 40's conduct and his content choices? Watch to find out. Stay tuned. So, don't you think it's silly to be looking for personal fulfillment from your work? I mean, for a tiny number of people, yeah. But otherwise, I would think for most people, they can feel fulfilled in their work if it's part of an overall plan of taking care of their family, living up to their obligations to other people, being an adult, like making a contribution, putting other people's needs before one's own 40, 50, 60 hours a week. So for 1% of people, I think they can find personal fulfillment through your work. But otherwise, for most people, you find personal fulfillment by fitting yourself into something greater than yourself, right? There is a structure of right and wrong, meaning, morality, purpose outside of you. And when you fit yourself to that, right, when you adapt to something that exists outside of yourself, a moral code that exists outside of you, a purpose, a tribe, a community, a family, an extended family, a nation outside of you, when you fit yourself to that and to your obligations, I think for most people, meeting your responsibilities, doing your duty will bring a sense of fulfillment. But seeking fulfillment does not strike me as a winning formula in life. So, I got a super chat. Big fan, Luke. It's really just all about truth. He is still auto human. But is he really just, he is still auto human? Wow. Whoa. Thank you so much. What the heck is this goal thing? Start making a goal. Make super chat more fun with a goal. So pick a goal, 10 super chats, then set a timer, 30 minutes, show how you'll celebrate, and I can get inspired with examples. This is pretty cool. So YouTube is the best way to make money as a live streamer online for most people. Far easier to monetize from things you post to YouTube compared to pretty much any other platform, to the best of my knowledge. My God, there are even goals, and I got membership. I'm just drowning in riches. The Mighty Puck 75, you make me feel so fulfilled right now. But do you agree or disagree with me? 1% of people can feel a tremendous sense of personal fulfillment through their work. All right. Otherwise, you should find your fulfillment through meeting your obligations, doing your duty, fitting yourself into a team that is bigger than you, a meaning matrix, a morality matrix that is bigger than you. Take up your position in that meaning matrix, right? Play your role. Do your job, right? Isn't that what Bill Belichick says? Right? Do your job. And so if you do your job, then you're doing your duty. And then out of that, I would think would be some sense of satisfaction. But it's the very rare person, I think, who gets to feel fulfilled at work. But I know a lot of people today, since the 1970s, they think working for yourself, that's the goal, right? Receiving personal fulfillment at work, that's the goal. Feeling fulfilled through your marriage, that's the goal. I would think that this would make it harder to feel happy, right? Because you're putting the premium on fulfillment and happiness rather than put the premium on doing your duty, meeting your obligations, right? Being an adult, taking on responsibility, and then out of doing the right thing, fitting yourself into a meaning and morality matrix that exists outside of yourself, then as an after effect, right, there should be a feeling of happiness. But it's widespread among my peers that there's this notion that 100% of people can feel personal fulfillment through their work. And I think that's nonsense. I think probably 90% of people are better off working for someone else rather than being an entrepreneur, certainly as their primary source of income. And 99% of people are better off putting their focus on meeting their obligations in a transcendent meaning and morality matrix beyond themselves, like playing their appropriate role on a team, instead of just, I don't know, having kids outside of marriage with different men, being an influencer or accumulating, a large following on any number of various social media platforms. I don't think there's going to be a great, enduring, deep sense of meaning and purpose and happiness there, unless you seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, or whatever is your hero system, even if it's communism or socialism or science or enlightenment philosophy or secular humanism, right? Seek ye first this morality meaning matrix outside of yourself, God, religion, science, whatever it is that is at the top of your hero system. And then out of that, right, I would expect would flow beautiful things.
News you can trust. That infamous tagline could not be more true. The Bee is a conservative, Christian, satirical news site that has consistently kept all of us laughing, kind of to ourselves, at least when it wasn't banned from social media, which, believe it or not, happened because their sense of humor was a little too close to the actual truth. Check out these fake headlines that kind of came true. Gavin Newsom demands answers from who's ever in charge of California. That's the funny one. And here's Gavin Newsom's tweet calling for an investigation into the loss of water during the fires. How about this on the Taliban? The Taliban laughing over diversity training materials our military left behind. Here's a tweet showing those training materials actually found in the Taliban's trash. Even better, this Bee headline about anyone still wearing a mask is probably just super ugly. Now the real study shows about people wearing masks, ugly. So the Bee has been ahead of the curve, so to speak. The Free Press giving the news site props for predicting the vibe shift we are seeing under President Trump. And joining us now, the CEO of the Babylon Bee, Seth Dillon. Seth, when you hear those headlines back and knowing that it got you banned, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, those weren't the particular ones that got us banned. The ones that got us banned, we were making jokes that we weren't supposed to make, the ones that we're not allowed to make. But it's just when the headlines come true, I think it just highlights the absurdity of the age. Is that the world is so absurd, it's almost impossible to satirize. And so you tell these jokes, and then it is a matter of staying ahead of the curve. Next thing you know, they actually happen. And I talk all the time about the challenge is to write jokes that are funnier than whatever Democrats are doing in real life.
How hard was it when you were suspended from social media before Elon Musk bought Twitter?
Well, man, I mean, before then, we had to worry about stepping on all these mines. There was the misinformation, the incitement to violence, the hateful conduct policies. They were trying to make all of these stick to us. And so it was kind of this dance where you want to do comedy, you want to tell jokes, and you want to be funny, but you have to abide by all these rules and be worried about whether or not you're going to get kicked off the platform. And, we ended up making a joke about the transgender health admiral, Rachel Levine, in the Biden administration, because Rachel Levine had been named Woman of the Year by USA Today. And so we jokingly referred to Rachel Levine as our pick for Man of the Year. And that's what got us booted out of Twitter and sent into Twitter jail next to Donald Trump. And that's really ultimately one of the things that drew Elon's attention to this problem is you can't even tell jokes anymore. These are off-limits narratives, and they're using the terms of service to prop up their ideology and prevent you from even criticizing it with humor and ridicule. And so that was a crazy place to be in as humorists in a free society.
Have we gotten past it? I mean, I feel like we've gotten past it. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, largely. I mean, definitely on X. And you see some forward momentum there. You mentioned the vibe shift earlier. There's a huge vibe shift when you have, these tech CEOs sitting there at the inauguration and being invited to Mar-a-Lago and now kind of like cozying up to Trump a little bit and opening up their policies on free speech and saying they're not going to enforce the same kind of rules that they used to enforce. There's definitely a shift happening. X is our safest platform for sure, though. We know that Elon's not going to ban us there just for making jokes that the powers that be don't like.
So when Trump's in office, I knew where you stood, and because he was under attack so much, no one was really taking his side. You guys kind of worked through your humor, and then, of course, Joe Biden gets into power, so you're going after the one with the power, which is the Democrats. Now the Republicans are in the power seat. How are you approaching it?
Same as we always do. I mean, we don't have a situation on our hands where we're like, we're protecting Republicans and going after Democrats. We just want to make people laugh. We want to make them think. We want to hold people in power, whichever side of the aisle they're on, accountable. If someone on the right is engaging in hypocrisy, we're going to joke about them and make fun of them too. And I think that's it's a beneficial, and it's a healthy exercise to be willing to laugh at ourselves and take ourselves less seriously. I think hopefully, in my mind, one of the key differentiators between us and the radical secular progressives on the left is that we actually have a sense of humor and are willing to laugh at ourselves.
At yourselves, too. All right, here's some of the headlines that if you haven't gotten the Babylon Bee or read it lately, you have missed. Pope Francis announces that God agrees with whatever it is Democrats want to do right now. Sometimes it feels like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, going to get Catholics mad at us, but yeah.
Right. If you watched the beginning of the Super Bowl, you saw a couple of calls go against the Eagles, which led to why the Chiefs were in the Super Bowl. A lot of people thought refs were friendly to them. You write this: Eagles flag for roughing the passer on pregame handshake.
No winning.
Right. I think it's 15 yards. PBS drops DEI, announces Bert and Ernie are now straight. So that could have got you suspended a couple of years ago.
Well, they're trying, that's funny because there was such an effort to try to, what would be the word you'd even use? Queerify everything, make everything through the lens of wokeness, make everything about LGBTQ plus issues and even the children's material, and so to joke about how we're now going back to a place where these characters aren't viewed this way, I think is perfectly appropriate. But this is one of the utilities of comedy. We have checks and balances in government, right? Well, one of our checks and balances in culture is comedy, which treats the absurd as absurd, so we laugh at it. We don't take it seriously. We need that check and balance in place in our culture.
And you never took a bow through all of it, through the tribulations, and I think it's going to be a fun time. Seth Dillon, great job. Thanks for fighting the fight.
Thank you.
All right. Meanwhile, I got to tell you, I cannot wait to see you March 22nd in St. Louis.
Okay, got another super chat. Thank you so much, Mighty Puck. Agree with Luke. The super chats are just figuring out how to pay for content. I really appreciate it. This might be about content from a year back. Awesome. Thank you, bro. Thank you. Thank you. All right, the Maori in New Zealand, they're not down with the whole transgender drag queen events for 2 to 10-year-old children.
You're not able to bring the signs in. You're welcome to come in with me. Thank you.
Sorry. Get it up. It's a private event.
No, this is a private event. They're not like a ticketed event. You have 2 kids, so you're not welcome to go. Thank you. No, you're not. It's a private
Meanwhile, in Australia, my dad got jumped by a kangaroo. So my brother had a pet kangaroo. But after he reached about age 2 or 3, they had to give him to a shelter because they get quite quite rambunctious. They like to fight. Okay, I would have thought, no, I wouldn't have thought that the Maoris were down with the whole woke thing. Right, JD Vance thinks, okay, was JD Vance Sam Hyde posting in Germany?
Contrary to what you might hear a couple mountains over in Davos, the citizens of all of our nations don't generally think of themselves as educated animals or as interchangeable cogs of a global economy.
No fucking way. Bro, he watched Sam's video. That's the exact vocabulary Sam Hyde used.
I just know his name is Asmongold. The only people who want to fix the American birth rate problem by turning America into India are fuckers. People are not interchangeable economic units.
Oh my God.
Does that sound like fun? It's just humans. They're just interchangeable economic units. Why wouldn't we want that?
Yeah, he did? Yeah. Jesus.
And it's hardly surprising that they don't want to be shuffled about or relentless.
Thinking of people as interchangeable units, while it would be useful in a simulation or in an economic theorem, it strips them of their humanity.
Super chats of the express train to audience capture. 40 needs to go back to Australia to deal with the fighting kangaroo problem along with the native cannibal tribes. What else we got here? I thought I had more. Anyway, points about AI.
I mean, gosh, having a vice president who understands AI is just, it's mind-blowing. He could speak on a topic that's topical credibly. This was an awesome moment for America, I think.
What are you implying there, J. Cal?
I'm implying you might have workshopped it with him.
No.
Or that he's smart. Both of those things.
The vice president wrote the speech, or at least directed all of it. So the ideas came from him. I'm not going to take any credit whatsoever for this.
Okay, well, it was on point. Maybe you could talk about...
I agree it was on point. I think it was a very well-crafted and well-delivered speech.
He made 4 main points about the Trump administration's approach to AI. He's going to ensure, this is point 1, that American AI continues to be the gold standard. Fantastic check. 2, he says that the administration understands that excessive regulation could kill AI just as it's taking off. And he did this in front of all the EU elites who love regulation, did it on their home court. And then he said, number 3, AI must remain free from ideological bias, as we've talked about here on this program. And then number 4, the White House, he said, will, quote, maintain a pro-worker growth path for AI so that it can be a potent tool for job creation in the U.S. So what are your thoughts on the 4 major bullet points in his speech here in Paris?
Well, I think that the vice president, you knew he was going to deliver an important speech as soon as he got up there and said that I'm here to talk about not AI safety, but AI opportunity. And to understand what a bracing statement that was, and really almost like a shot across the bow, you have to understand the history and context of these events. For the last couple of years, the last couple of these events have been exclusively focused on AI safety. The last in-person event was in the UK at Bletchley Park, and the whole conference was devoted to AI safety. Similarly, the European AI regulation obviously is completely preoccupied with safety and trying to regulate away safety risks before they happen. Similarly, you had the Biden EO, which was based around safety. And then you have just the whole media coverage around AI, which is preoccupied with all the risks from AI. So to have the vice president get up there and say right off the bat that there are other things to talk about in respect to AI besides safety risks, that actually there are huge opportunities there, was a breath of fresh air. And like I said, kind of a shot across the bow. And yeah, you could almost see some of the Eurocrats, they needed their fainting couches after that.
Eurocrats.
Trudeau looks like his dog just died. So I think that was just a really important statement right off the bat to set the context for the speech, which is AI is a huge opportunity for all of us, because really that point just has not been made enough. And it's true, there are risks. But when you look at the media coverage and when you look at the dialogue that the regulators have had around this, they never talk about the opportunities. It's always just around the risk. So I think that was a very important corrective. And then, like you said, he went on to say that the United States has to win this AI race. We want to be the gold standard. We want to dominate.
That was my favorite part.
Yeah. And by the way, that language about dominating AI and winning the global race, that is in President Trump's executive order from week 1. So this is very much elaborating on the official policy of this administration. And the vice president then went on to say that he specified how we would do that, right? We have to win some of these key building block technologies. We want to win in chips. We want to win in AI models. We want to win in applications. He said we need to build. We need to unlock energy for these companies. And then most of all, we just need to be supportive towards them as opposed to regulating them to death. And he had a lot to say about the risk of overregulation, how often it's big companies that want regulation. He warned about regulatory capture, which our friend Bill Gurley would like. And he said that so basically having less regulation can actually be more fair, can create a more level playing field for small companies as well as big companies. And then he said to the Europeans that we want you to be partners with us. We want to lead the world, but we want you to be our partners and benefit from this technology that we're going to take the lead in creating. But you also have to be a good partner to us. And then he specifically called out the overregulation that Europeans have been engaged in. He mentioned the Digital Services Act, which has acted as like a speed trap for American companies. It's American companies who've been overregulated and fined by these European regulations, because the truth of the matter is that it's American technology companies that are winning the race. And so when Europe passes these onerous regulations, they fall most of all on American companies. And he's basically saying we need you to rebalance and correct this because it's not fair and it's not smart policy and it's not going to help us collectively win this AI race. And that kind of brings me just to the last point is I don't think he mentioned China by name, but clearly he talked about adversarial countries who are using AI to control their populations, to engage in censorship and thought control. And he basically painted a picture where it's like, yeah, you could go work with them or you could work with us. And we have hundreds of years of shared history together. We believe in things like free speech, hopefully, and we want you to work with us. But if you are going to work with us, then you have to cooperate and we have to create a reasonable regulatory regime.
Naval, did you see the speech and your thoughts just generally on JD Vance and having somebody like this, representing us and wanting to win American exceptionalism?
Very surprising, very impressive. I thought he was polite, optimistic, and just very forward-looking. It's what you'd expect an entrepreneur or a smart investor to say. So I was very impressed. I think the idea that America should win, great. I think that we should not regulate. I also agree with. I'm not an AI doomer. I don't think AI is going to end the world. That's a separate conversation. But there's this religion that comes along in many faces, which is that, climate change is going to end the world. AI is going to end the world. Asteroids going to end the world. COVID-19 is going to end the world. And it just has a way of fixating your attention, right? It captures everybody's attention at once. It's a very seductive thing. And I think in the case of AI, it's really been overplayed by incentive bias, motivated reasoning by the companies who are ahead and they want to pull up the ladder behind them. I think they genuinely believe it. I think they genuinely believe that there's safety risks, but I think they're motivated to believe in those safety risks, and then they pass that along. But it's kind of a weird position because they have to say, oh, it's so dangerous that you shouldn't just let open source go at it, and you should let just a few of us work with you on it. But it's not so dangerous that a private company can't own the whole thing. Right? Because if it was truly the Manhattan Project, if they were building nuclear weapons, you wouldn't want one company to own that. No. Sam Altman's famously said that AI will capture the light cone of all future value. In other words, like all value ever created at the speed of light from here will be captured by AI. So if that's true, then I think open source AI really matters, and little tech AI really matters. The problem is that the nature of training these models is highly centralized. They benefit from supercomputer clustered compute. So it's not clear how any decentralized model can compete. So to me, the real issue boils down to is how do you push AI forward while not having just a very small number of players control the entire thing? And we thought we had that solution with the original OpenAI, which was a nonprofit and was supposed to do it for humanity. But now, because of they want to incentivize the team and they want to raise money, they have to privatize at least a part of it.
So I started watching another Taylor Sheridan series, Mayor of Kingstown. It is so good. It is so good. It's like 8.2 on IMDb. You can't stop watching this show. And I'm not some huge unabashed fan of the All In podcast, but this last one on AI was pretty good. All right.
Hot montages like balls, 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 balls. And they're just bouncing around from channel to channel. So she let me take the bullet, okay? But any way you slice it, politicians spent so much time talking about sex this week, the entire country felt like they were trapped in a liberal kindergarten class. It was bad. Watch this right here.
I don't swear in public very well, but we have to Trump. Please don't tell my children that I just did that.
Oh, your children know, Candy Pants, because it's all over TikTok. But to be fair, Oregon Congresswoman Maxine Dexter was hardly alone in referencing sex or even male genitalia, where Democrats appear to have gotten a package deal. Watch this right here.
Elon Musk, who apparently has adopted the alias, at least he changed his social media handle to Harry Balls.
Do you think that calling Elon Musk a is effective messaging?
Well, he is a don't put words in my mouth.
So would you stop that? Would you stop that process?
Don't be all the little small cuts. I won't say anything about circumcisions being a small cut. Listen, all these small cuts.
Who the hell voted for, excuse the phrase, a guy who calls himself Big Balls?
I don't know what we just watched, but apparently Democrats have hired 2 new consultants. That's the only way I can explain this. If Beavis and Butthead were covering the news this week, their brains would have exploded. Especially when you consider how much Chuck Schumer looks like Cornholio. Yo. That's the same guy. That is the same guy. Of course, no conversation.
I really like the discussion on AI on the All In podcast, right? A lot of good points made here. Where the hell is it? Here we go.
Well, it's not clear to me why they need to privatize the whole thing. Like, why do you need to buy out the nonprofit portion? You could leave a nonprofit portion and you could have the private portion for the incentives. But I think that the real challenge is, how do you keep AI from naturally centralizing? Because all the economics and the technology underneath are centralizing in nature. If you really think you're going to create God, do you want to put God on a leash with one entity controlling God? That, to me, is the real fear. I'm not scared of AI. I'm scared of what a very small number of people who control AI do to the rest of us for our own good, because that's how it always works.
It's well said. Probably should go with the Greek model, having many gods and heroes as well. Free.
So I think we really get it wrong when we try and assume the technology as a transplant for last year or last century, and then we kind of become techno-pessimists because we're worried about losing what we have.
Are you a techno-pessimist or are you optimist? Because you bring up the downside an awful lot here on the program, but you are working every day in a very optimistic way to breed, better strawberries and potatoes for folks. So you're a little bit of a...
No, I have no techno-pessimism whatsoever. I try and point out why the other side is acting the way they are.
Got it. Okay. Putting it in full context.
And what I'm trying to highlight is I think that framework is wrong. I think that framework of trying to transplant new technology onto the old way of things operating is the wrong way to think about it. And it creates this, because of this manifestation about worrying about downside, it creates this fear that creates regulation like we see in the EU. And as a result, China's GDP will scale while the EU's will stagnate if that's where they go. That's my assessment or my opinion on what will happen.
Chamath, you want to wrap this up for us? What are your thoughts on JD?
I'll give you two.
Okay.
The first is, I would say this is a really interesting moment where I would call this the tale of two vice presidents. Very early in the Biden administration, Kamala was dispatched on an equally important topic at that time, which was illegal immigration, and she went to Mexico and Guatemala. And so you actually have a really interesting A/B test here. You have both vice presidents dealing with what were in that moment incredibly important issues. And I think that JD was focused, he was precise, he was ambitious, and even the part of the press that was very supportive of Kamala couldn't find a lot of very positive things to say about her. And the feedback was, it was meandering. She was ducking questions. She didn't answer the questions that she was asked very well. And it's so interesting because it's a bit of a microcosm event to what happened over these next 4 years and her campaign, quite honestly, which you could have taken that window of that feedback. And unfortunately for her, it just continued to be very consistent. So that was one observation I had, because I heard him give the speech. I heard her, and I had this kind of moment where I was like, wow, two totally different people. The second is on the substance of what JD said. I said this on Tucker, and I'll just simplify all of this into a very basic framework, which is, if you want a country to thrive, it needs to have economic supremacy and it needs to have military supremacy. In the absence of those two things, societies crumble. And the only thing that underpins those two things is technological supremacy. And we see this today. So on Thursday, what happened with Microsoft? They had a $24 billion contract with the United States Army to deliver some whiz-bang thing. And they realized that they couldn't deliver it. And so what did they do? They went to Anduril. Now, why did they go to Anduril? Because Anduril has the technological supremacy to actually execute. A few weeks ago, we saw some attempts at technological supremacy from the Chinese with respect to DeepSeek. So I think that this is a very simple existential battle. Those who can harness and govern the things that are technologically superior will win, and it will drive economic vibrancy and military supremacy, which then creates safe, strong societies. That's it. So from that perspective, JD nailed it. He saw the forest from the trees. He said...
Okay, we have a challenge from Elliot Blatt in the chat. Name one successful application of AI. Well, we have self-driving cars all around Los Angeles, and I assume they're in San Francisco and elsewhere. They are powered by AI. Fraud detection, right? AI analyzes transaction patterns to identify suspicious activity in real time. Personalized recommendations on e-commerce platforms or on Netflix, right? AI algorithms suggest products based on a user's past purchase history. Right? It was AI that suggested to me beef organ capsules from ancestral supplements. Right? AI on Amazon put that in front of me, and it saved my life, changed my life, transformed my life, skyrocketed my life, lifted me out of a slough of low energy, weakness, and restored me to reality. Thank you, AI. Thank you to the recommendation algorithm on Amazon. Virtual assistants like Siri and Alexa. So using natural language processing to answer questions, perform tasks based on voice commands. So many different medical diagnosis, right? AI is far better at diagnosing disease than doctors. So what what else is AI up to? Okay. What the hell? Bloody hell. Not even going to try to frickin' log into this. Continue. Okay. Not even worth it. Bloody hell.
Exactly what I think needed to be said, and put folks on notice that you're either on the ship or you're off the ship. And I think that that was really good.
Yeah. And there was like a little secondary conversation that emerged, Sachs, that I would love to engage you with if you're willing, which is this civil war, quote unquote, between maybe MAGA 1.0, MAGA 2.0, techies in the MAGA party like ourselves, and maybe the core MAGA folks. We can pull up the tweet here in JD's own word, and he's been engaging people in his own words. It's very clear that he's writing these tweets, a distinct difference between other politicians in this administration, and they just tell you what they think. Here it is. I'll try and write something to address this in detail. This is JD Vance.
Okay, just Google what are some common applications for AI. All right, e-commerce. Right, Amazon uses AI to recommend products to its users based on their browsing history, past purchases, and preferences. AI on Amazon gave me beef organ capsules. Education. Right, so Simpler Learn uses AI algorithms to offer course recommendations, provide personalized feedback to students. Lifestyle, right, Siri, Alexa, smart thermostats, right, things like Nest use AI to learn homeowners' temperature preferences, schedule patterns, automatically adjust settings for optimal comfort, energy savings. Navigation, making travel safer and more efficient. Advanced AI algorithms process real-time traffic, weather conditions, historical patterns to provide accurate and timely route suggestions. AI powers autonomous vehicles, which use sensors and machine learning to navigate roads and avoid obstacles. Robotics, right? Robotics are important in manufacturing. Natural language processing, right? To help the interactions between computers and people. So natural language processing enables machines to understand, interpret, generate human language, facilitate applications like translation, sentiment analysis, voice-activated assistance. Computer vision, right? Uses AI to interpret, process visual information from the world around us. Self-driving cars use computer vision. Facial recognition. Human resources, right? Can analyze resumes. AI in healthcare is far more effective and efficient than doctors. Agriculture, optimize farming practices, increase crop yields, ensure sustainable resource use. AI-powered drone sensors monitor crop health, soil conditions, weather patterns, provide valuable insights to farmers. Gaming, right, creates more realistic and engaging experiences, generate intelligent behavior in non-player characters, NPCs, adapt to player actions, enhance game environments. Automobiles, autonomous driving, predictive maintenance, in-car personal assistance, process data from sensors and cameras to navigate roads, avoid collisions, provide real-time traffic updates. Social media, personalized content feeds, detect fake news, improve US user engagement. Marketing, AI helps businesses understand customers, optimize campaigns, deliver personalized experiences. Chatbots for support, finance, risk management, fraud detection, investment strategies, analyze financial data, identify patterns, make predictions. Astronomy, analyze vast amounts of data, identify celestial objects, discover new phenomena. So NASA uses AI to analyze data from the Kepler Space Telescope. Data security, detect, respond to cyber threats in real time. Travel and transport, route planning, managing traffic flow. Automotive industry, advances in autonomous vehicles, predictive maintenance, in-car assistance. Generative AI, create new content from text and images to music and videos. Machine learning, training algorithms to learn from data, make predictions or decisions without explicit programming. And entertainment, content recommendations, creating realistic visual effects, enhancing audience engagement, analyzing viewer preferences, generate content, create interactive experiences. All right, so there you go. 24 real-world applications of AI.
That's a sweet. But I think this civil war is overstated. Though, yes, there are some real divergences between the populace, I would describe that as MAGA, and the techies. But briefly, in general, I dislike substituting American labor for cheap labor. My views on immigration and offshoring flow from this. I like growth and productivity gains, and this informs my view on tech and regulation. When it comes to AI specifically, the risks are, number one, overstated, to your point, Naval, or 2, difficult to avoid. One of my many real concerns, for instance, is about consumer fraud. That's a valid reason to worry about safety. But the other problem is much worse if a peer nation is 6 months ahead of the U.S. on AI. Again, I'll try and say more. And this is JD going right at, I think, one of the more controversial topics, Sachs, that the administration is dealing with and has dealt with when it comes to immigration and tech, because these two things are dovetailing each other. If we lose millions of driver jobs, which we will in the next 10 years, just like we lost millions of cashier jobs, well, that's going to impact how our nation and many of the voters look at the border and immigration. We might not be able to let as many people immigrate here if we're losing millions of jobs to AI and self-driving cars. What are your thoughts on him engaging this directly, Sachs?
Well, the first point he's making there is about wage pressure, right? Which is when you throw open our borders or you throw open American markets to products that can be made in foreign countries by much cheaper labor that's not held to the same standards, the same minimum wage or the same union rules or the same safety standards that American labor is, and has a huge cost advantage, then you're creating wage pressure for American workers. And he's opposed to that. And I think that is an important point, because I think the way that the media or neoliberals like to portray this argument is that somehow MAGA's resistance to unlimited immigration is somehow based on xenophobia or something like that. No, it's based on bread and butter, kitchen table issues, which is if you have this ridiculous open border policy, it's inevitably going to create a lot of wage pressure for people at the bottom of the pyramid. So I think JD is making that argument. But, and this is point 2, he's saying I'm not against productivity growth. So technology is good because it enables all of our workers to improve their productivity, and that should result in better wages because workers can produce more. The value of their labor goes up if they have more tools to be productive. So there's no contradiction there, and I think he's explaining why there isn't a contradiction. A point I would add, he doesn't make this point in that tweet, but I would add is that one of the problems that we've had over the last, 30 years is that we have had tremendous productivity growth in the U.S., but labor has not been able to capture it. All that benefit has basically gone to capital or to companies, and I think a big part of the reason why is because we've had this largely unrestricted immigration policy. So I think if you were to tamp down on immigration, if you were to stop the illegal immigration, then labor might be able to capture more of the benefits of productivity growth, and that would be a good thing. It'd be a more equitable distribution of the gains from productivity and from technology, and that, I think, would help tamp down this growing conflict that you see between technologists and the rest of the country, or certainly the heartland of the country.
Naval, this is okay, you want to add anything else, David? All right.
Well, I think just the final point he makes in that tweet is that he talks about how we live in a world in which there are other countries that are competitive. And specifically, he doesn't mention China, but he says we have a peer competitor. And it's going to be a much worse world if they end up being 6 months ahead of us on AI rather than 6 months behind. That is a really important point to keep in mind. I think that
really embrace these tools because it allows them to do more with less. And I think that's what I really see. What's great for our business and for other businesses like ours that can leverage AI tools is that those individuals can now do more. And so our throughput, our productivity as an organization has gone up. And we can now create more things faster. So whatever the product is that my company makes, we can now make more things more quickly. We can do more development.
You're seeing it on the ground, correct, at Hollow?
And I'm seeing it on the ground. And I don't think that this transplantation of how bad AI will be for jobs is the right framing as much as it is about an acceleration of productivity. And this is why I go back to the point about GDP per capita and GDP growth. Countries, societies, areas that are interested, or industries that are interested in accelerating output and accelerating productivity, the ability to make stuff and sell stuff, are going to rapidly embrace these tools because it allows them to do more with less. And I think that's what I really see on the ground. And then the second point I'll make is the one that I mentioned earlier, and I'll wrap up with a third point, which is I think we're underestimating the new industries that will emerge drastically, dramatically. There's going to be so much new that we are not really thinking deeply about right now that we could do a whole nother 2-hour brainstorming session on what AI unlocks in terms of large-scale projects that are traditionally or typically or today held back because of the constraints on the technical feasibility of these projects. And that ranges from accelerating to new semiconductor technology, to quantum computing, to energy systems, to transportation, to habitation, et cetera, et cetera. There's all sorts of transformations in every industry that's possible as these tools come online, and that will spurn insane new industries. The most important point is the third one, which is we don't know the overlap of job loss and job creation if there is one. And so the rate at which these new technologies impact and create new markets, but I think Naval is right. I think that what happens in capitalism and in free societies is that capital and people rush to fill the hole of new opportunities that emerge because of AI, and that those grow more quickly than the old bubbles deflate. So if there's a deflationary effect in terms of job need in other industries, I think that the loss will happen slower than the rush to take advantage of creating new things will happen on the other side. So my bet is probably on the order of I think new things will be created faster than old things will be lost.
I think
and actually, as a quick side note to that, the fastest way to help somebody get a job right now, if you know somebody in the market who's looking for a job, the best thing you can do is say, hey, go download the AI tools and just start talking to them. Just start using them in any way. And then you can walk into any employer in almost any field and say, hey, I understand AI, and they'll hire you on the spot.
Exactly. Naval, you and I watched this happen. We had a front row seat to it back in the day when you were doing venture hacks and I was doing Open Angel Forum. We had to fight to find 5 or 10 companies a month. Then the cost of running these companies went down. They went down massively from $5 million to start a company to 2, then to $250K, then to $100K. I think what we're seeing is 3 things concurrently. You're going to see all these jobs go away for automation, self-driving cars, cashiers, et cetera. But we're going to also see static team size at places like Google. They're just not hiring because they're just having the existing bloated employee base learn the tools. But I don't know if you're seeing this. The number of startups able to get a product to market with 2 or 3 people and get to $1 million in revenue is booming. What are you seeing in the startup landscape?
Definitely what you're saying in that there's leverage. But at the same time, I think the more interesting part is that new startups are enabled that could not exist otherwise. My last startup, AirChat, could not have existed without AI because we needed the transcription and translation. Even the current thing I'm working on, it's not an AI company, but it cannot exist without AI. It is relying on AI. Even at AngelList, we're significantly adopting AI. Everywhere you turn, it's more opportunity, more opportunity, more opportunity. And people like to go on Twitter, or the artist formerly known as Twitter, and basically they like to exaggerate. Oh my God, we've hit AGI. Oh my God, I just replaced all my mid-level engineers. Oh my God, I've stopped hiring. To me, that's moronic. The 2 valid ones are the one-man entrepreneur shows where there's one guy or one gal and they're scaling up like crazy thanks to
Phil
AI.
Kaplan, shout
or
out.
there are people who are embracing AI and being I need to hire. And I need to hire anyone who can even spell AI. Anyone who's even used AI. Just come on in. Again, I would say the easiest way to see that AI is not taking jobs or creating opportunities is go brush up on your AI, learn a little bit, watch a few videos, use the AI, tinker with it, and then go reapply for that job that rejected you and watch how they pull you in.
In 2020.
Yeah, some great points there from the All In podcast. All right, quick comedy break here from Fox.
Because the nonpartisan Government Accountability Office found that America loses between $233 and $521 billion to fraud each year, okay? Meaning all of us, Republicans, Democrats, if you're paying taxes, we're losing about $500 billion to fraud each year. Historians say that's the highest level of fraud since Elizabeth Warren's DNA test.
And she's a fake. Just like she said she was an Indian, and she wasn't an Indian. You have more Indian blood in you than she has. She went to college based on the fact that she was an Indian. She got jobs based on the fact that she was an Indian. She's a fake.
Okay, so why are the Serbians so good at basketball? And are there any wider lessons here? Right, the Lakers got Luka Doncic, and a great player from Slovenia. But why did this one little part of the world produce so many great basketball players?
The biggest superstars come from tiny countries in the Balkans. Serbia and Slovenia together have a population smaller than Florida, and yet they keep producing elite basketball talent. This isn't a coincidence. Imagine a world where Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic wear the same jersey. Not just in an all-star game, not just for a charity event, but every summer, dominating international basketball. A team so stacked, even the U.S. would fear them. This isn't just a fantasy, it was destiny. Well, until this happened.
The fragile peace in Yugoslavia is more fragile than ever. Truce talks between federal officials and the Republic of Slovenia broke down again today. And the president of Yugoslavia's largest republic is warning his people to be prepared for war.
A negotiating team from the European community arrives tonight to help monitor a ceasefire which many are counting on, but almost no one is betting on.
In 1991, Slovenia and Croatia declared independence from Yugoslavia. The breakup turned violent, leading to the Yugoslav Wars, one of the bloodiest conflicts in modern European history. Bosnia and Herzegovina followed. And by 1995, what was once a united country had split into several independent nations: Serbia, Croatia, Slovenia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, and North Macedonia. The impact on basketball was immediate. The Yugoslavian national team in 1990 defeated the United States in the final round and won the FIBA World Championship. And in 1989 and 1991, won the Eurobasket gold, but was banned from the 1992 Olympics due to UN sanctions against Serbia and Montenegro. Croatia, led by Petrovic and Kukoc, still made the finals, but lost to the legendary Dream Team. Meanwhile, Serbia, home to some of the best players like Vlade Divac, couldn't compete internationally. Yugoslavia's golden generation had been forced to split apart. Despite the political separation, the Yugoslavian approach to basketball remained intact. Coaches continued to emphasize a style that focused on high basketball IQ, passing, and team-oriented play. This system has shaped modern players like Jokic and Doncic.
Well, I just wonder, are there any other activities where a high IQ, being team-oriented, being disciplined, working in a cohesive and trusting way with other people, where that tends to lead to good results?
Who play with an old-school feel despite being dominant in the NBA today. There's a common trait among players from the Balkans. They're tough, insanely skilled, and always play with an edge. They never back down. This isn't by accident. It's the result of a distinct basketball culture that was rooted in their predecessors. Unlike the United States, where players develop through high school, college, and AAU circuits, the Balkan system is entirely different. Young players are integrated into professional environments at an early age, playing against grown men rather than competing in highlight-driven showcases. This results in players entering the NBA with a stronger fundamental base and a deeper understanding of the professional game.
Wow, so apparently a group strategy is superior to an individualist strategy in basketball, and I suspect in some other areas of life.
I have a hard time watching high school kids play or younger kids play because they're more talented than ever. They're better athletes than ever. They can do more things than kids 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. But they're not better basketball players because this coach or that system has them playing 6 games on Saturday, and they practice once that week.
And it's the same for soccer. This is a dominant reason why we're not making great soccer teams. The American team is so mediocre.
It's totally opposite of what they do in Europe, where you will practice 6 days and you will play once. So you wonder why all these kids coming from Europe, they say, well, why are they so fundamentally sound? Why can they all dribble? They can all pass. They can all shoot. Doesn't matter whether they're 5'10" or 6'10". Because they practice. They don't play games.
The stricter defensive rules in European basketball demand a more disciplined, team-oriented approach, qualities that translate seamlessly to the NBA.
Right, a team-oriented approach will usually win out in life. Right, it's a happier way to live a life. Right, being team-oriented means that you recognize that there is a matrix of meaning and morality outside of yourself, and your primary duty in life is not to follow your bliss, but to find your role on the team. When you find your role on the team, when you put your team first, right, out of that springs fulfillment and meaning and purpose and morality. In basketball, in life, in business.
When I was in Madrid, I was always playing with the older guys, so I could learn a lot from them. Then with 16, I started to break through the first team. And, you just watch and then try to do it on the court and just learn from that.
So just kind of compare the two, the NBA between Europe.
Well, I would say European basketball is more team basketball, more tactics basketball. But it's...
Wow, European basketball is more team basketball? I remember hearing something like that in high school. I heard about European basketball versus African basketball, that one was more team-oriented, where players would sacrifice each other for the good of the team. The other was more showy and individualist. Whoa! We've got a membership. Sweet. This is really exciting. Thank you. Thank you for joining up. Good times. Why did Samula give Rebecca a membership? Because it's the greatest gift of all. Wow, 5. Samula, thank you so much. Scott S., Marlene, Team Blair. Wow. Bro. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It's very different because the court is smaller, the fouls are different. The rules are different, so everything's different, and you have less time. But I only say scoring is easier in NBA, just because of the amount of the different rules, the less space, the time. So that's why I said it.
So you think it's harder to score 30 points in a EuroLeague game than it is in an NBA game?
Yeah, 100%.
But there's better players over here.
Oh, way better players. Yeah. I'm just saying because of the rules.
Yeah.
Because the guy can stay. If you have a guy.
Right. Think about the wide receivers on the New England Patriots. Right. Not exactly the most imposing physical specimens, but they would block. Right. They would do everything that they could to help the team advance, and they had stamina. And so the Patriots might have trailed the Atlanta Falcons 28-3 in that Super Bowl, but they had more stamina and they came back and won in overtime.
I like, let's say, Rudy Gobert. He can stay in the paint on defense 3 seconds, however he wants. Like, just because of that rule, you can have 10 more points easily.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yugoslavia for basketball wasn't just a team. It was a philosophy, a movement. More than just hoops, it was a revolution. These were the architects of what we now call the European game, a game built on movement, selflessness, and surgical precision. The way they play.
Wow, the European game. Right. Cohesive, trusting, sacrificing for each other, selflessness. Sounds like an excellent team approach to life.
The spacing, the constant ball movement, the team-first mentality was decades ahead of its time. The collapse of Yugoslavia tore apart friendships and families. We got 5 new nations, all producing elite talent, but never together again. But here's the thing. Yugoslavian basketball never died. Its fingerprints are all over the modern game. You saw it in Peja Stojakovic, a deadly sniper who helped revolutionize the three-point shot in the NBA. You saw it in Goran Dragic with his craftiness, court vision, and ability to control the pace of the game. And now, you see it in Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic at the mountaintop of the sport.
Basketball is a matter of our national pride. Jokic is very popular in other countries of former Yugoslavia. It's not just Serbia, people are adoring him.
Having known him for over a decade.
So, what is it about the Balkans? Why are they so good at basketball?
In the 2023 World Cup, 6 players in the NBA, out of which one has won the MVP twice, another is one of the leaders for the Hawks, and one is a former EuroLeague MVP. Add to that 27 EuroLeague players and all the historic achievements prior, making me ask this: why Serbians are so good at basketball? And of course, as a Lithuanian, I cannot just give you a straight-up answer. That's why I spoke with Serbian basketball journalist Nikola Stojkovic, who helped me understand the reasons behind Serbia's success. The first reason that Nikola mentioned was genetics.
I think it's genetics.
Yeah, genetics is really important. All right. Virtually all our traits have a basis in genetics, including intelligence and height and musical ability and political and religious orientation, and whether we're outgoing or introverted, right? Almost everything has a basis in genetics.
Gonna lie, it took me by surprise at first, but I guess the more you think about it, a sufficient nationwide height is a must for basketball. For example, take the Philippines. People are obsessed with basketball there. These guys literally create modified rosters on 2K with their whole domestic league. But guess what? Height is just not in their genes, so no matter what part of the population is playing basketball, only a handful have the right physical tools to achieve height.
And there are over 1 billion Indians, yet they never win an Olympic gold medal. I was watching the Indian TV show Family Man. It's a fun show about a guy who works in counterterrorism by day, but he's got a wife and kids at home who don't know what he really does. But, yeah, Indians have special gifts in cricket. There aren't many other areas of life where they dominate.
High level. Of course, it's not just about towering over opponents. It's more about that athleticism running through Serbian veins. You see, Serbia isn't a one-sport wonder. It's a...
So the greatest Australian athletes in many sports tend to be from the Balkans originally.
nation where sports is a way of life. Tennis, football, volleyball, water polo, you name it. Even looking at basketball players, Jokic was racing horses in his youth, Micic was skiing, and Heats Nikola Jovic played water polo before he ever touched a basketball. And then take into account that most of Serbian basketball players' parents were probably athletes in one sport or another, which kind of means that these athletic abilities like agility or coordination is just in their DNA. Now let's talk early exposure. Nikola told me that it's almost a guarantee that your Serbian parents will hand you a ball of some kind when you're still a toddler. Talk about ball is life, which I do relate to since in Lithuania it's also dribbling, passing and shooting before you start worrying how to walk. Also, this early embrace of the game isn't just about developing skills, it's about learning to love basketball from early on. I guess it reflects on why Serbian fans are so passionate too. If you ask a die-hard Crvena Zvezda or Partizan fan why they support that team specifically, you're gonna hear about their dad or their grandpa or their uncle. It's literally generational. So when we talk,
right, it gives you more in common, right, with your friends, your family, right. If you share sporting interests, right, you'll be happier and more adaptive to life if you have some sports literacy.
Talk about genetics, it's not just about physical attributes. It's a perfect storm of height, athleticism, early exposure, and a cultural embrace of basketball. Next up is something Nikola kept repeating throughout our conversation.
They just like to win. It's a fanatical desire, to win. We started winning our desire to win, winning the silver medal.
It's that unique Serbian mindset that craves victory over anything. The whole nation behind you, failure is just not.
Yeah, when you feel the whole nation is behind you, that fills you with a great sense of strength. If you feel your family is behind you, your friends are behind you, your community is behind you, right? You will feel stronger and you will perform at a much higher level.
An option. Also, looking a bit deeper, every victory is seen as a testament to hard work and determination, which are also things I'll touch later on in this video. Before we get there though, Serbian fans, listen up. Do you remember this Nikola Jokic jersey that was supposed to go out when we hit 75,000 subscribers? Europe wasn't the biggest achievement. That crowning jewel came in the 2002 World Cup, where Serbia not only claimed gold versus Argentina, but also secured a legendary victory against the United States in their backyard. The history between these two countries definitely made it a much bigger deal, and that's why eliminating the US in the quarterfinals is something every Serbian remembers today.
Where were you on the 5th of September of 2002? They will definitely say, they were watching the game against USA, and to beat USA in their backyard is something to remember.
Since the collapse of Yugoslavia in 1991, Serbia won another 12 medals and produced so many great NBA and EuroLeague players that naming all of them would really be pointless. But that leads me to my next point, which is Serbian School of Basketball. Let's try to break it down a little. At the heart of it, we find two words: hard work. That Serbian, or perhaps more accurately Yugoslavian work ethic has literally...
So what happens when you combine good genetics, all right, social trust and cohesion, right, a sense that you're in it together, right, a group strategy, and hard work, right, you've got a winning formula.
Becomes synonymous with European basketball in general. Reasons being that a lot of great Balkan coaches who were taught basketball there later passed on that mentality to their players, who then would become coaches, and the cycle continues. Remember the news of 5 or 6 hour long practices in Europe? Sure, some reports were exaggerated, but that's not the point. Long practices and hard work is something that starts from the youth system and continues into the professional scene. It obviously has become a topic of discussion in the modern times, whether it should change and adapt.
Okay, good genetics, hard work, group cohesion, winning formula for life, group strategy, usually outcompete the individualist strategy. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.